This is Spirit Journey. Today is Wednesday, June 14th, 2017, and I hope you're having a good day. This video is going to be an update video on my DNA test that I had posted about 2 years ago. I also am going to compare my DNA with the first video I did along with my mom's. I also showed in the old video of 2 years ago, I posted my mom's results and how we differed and how the current DNA, like sometimes with these DNA companies, I'm using Family Tree DNA. Maybe they updated their database, but some of the percentages have changed. So I wanted to do this video to document what that change is, because I noticed that with Family Tree DNA, they may post something on your account with them, and then they, for whatever reason, they remove it and they don't post it back up. And now they seem to be maybe fine-tuning, at least with this change, with the ethnicity. They've done more of a breakdown on my ethnicity. So the percentages, the two major percentages did not vary much, but they did do a breakdown change that wasn't there before. So I'm going to show you, starting with myself, what that change is, and then I'm going to also show you the original video that I posted. So bear with me with all this navigation, and because I have a lot of tabs up, as you can see up here, I'm going to go through them. So it's like 6 different tabs, and 3 of them for me, and the other 3 are my mom's. Okay, so bear with me. So I'm going to begin now. So this is, as you see here, Family Tree DNA and my origins. So as you see here, a breakdown for my account. And I'm going to press this button here to show all. So it's going to show the breakdown. So here for African it says 50%, and for European 43%, and the trace results, that's like the difference, that these two percentages don't, what is to make it 100%. So it's like, what's that, like 7% of the trace for different regions, and those regions, some of them have changed. Okay, so I'm going to begin now. Okay, for African, 50%, but as you see here, that South Central Africa, 1%, and that wasn't there before, but they had East Central Africa of 3% and West Africa 47%. I think the 47% is the same as the Old Testament, but I'm going to show you, okay, in a few minutes. And then as you see here, New World, 0, 0, 0. And so that means I have 0 Native American. And yes, in my family, I was told that my great-grandmother was a Carib Indian. My background is from the Caribbean. I was born and raised in the U.S., but my grandparents, all 4 of my grandparents, were born and raised in the Caribbean, and their ancestry goes way back in the Caribbean. And of course there was mixing, in the Caribbean, as you guys know that, or most of you would know. And let's see what else. Oh, so I was told that Caribs from the Caribbean, but they pretty much were exterminated on the island that my parents were born on. My grandparents were born on. On my mother's side, they're Martinican, and they had a war with the indigenous population there, and those that didn't die off, they were forced off the island. And so you wouldn't have Native Americans there. And then on my father's side, they're from Antigua, which has always been a British controlled island, and then the island of St. Croix, also my father's side, that has been under 5 different flags. And the last flag before the US was Denmark, which is a part of Scandinavia, you know. So, Central South Asian 0%, East Asian 0, but surprisingly on my mom, she has a fragment in it, which she didn't have before. But either way, Middle Eastern, okay. Now this is new. North Africa, less than 2%. That symbol means less than. Okay, and the Middle East, 0%. So this has changed. My old post, it said Middle East 2%, and that was for the region that we know of today as Turkey. Okay, so now it's 0, and they reassigned it to North Africa. So I thought that was interesting. Okay, so from here, from 2% now to 0, and then it jumped here to North Africa. And you notice what they're reclassifying Africa. They're calling North Africa part of Middle Eastern, okay? And the part that you'll see where they call North Africa is not the Middle East, okay? Middle East is the eastern portion of northeastern portion of Africa, as we call it today. But, you know, so it's really something so they're making Africa into something else. And originally, North Africa was Africa, and Sub-Saharan Africa the Europeans didn't know about, okay? But here, Africa, so they should say, for this here, they should call this Sub-Saharan Africa. But they don't. They just say African, okay? So it's just something that I noticed. And then here, European, 43%. This changed by 3%. It used to be like 46%, but now it's 43. And this breakdown here, they didn't have before. All this is new. So I was really surprised, okay? They didn't have a breakdown. They just had before that European and whether it be Central or Eastern, you know, but not these specific regions like Scandinavia or, you know, Iberia or British Isles. But now they have it. So this is the breakdown. British Isles, 3%. East Europe, 0. Okay. And I do have an ancestor on my mother's side that was a Russian, but it wasn't picked up here. And then Finland, of less than 2%. And I gathered that I got that from my father's side because St. Croix was a Danish possession, which is a part of Scandinavia and Finland. Either way. So that was less than 2%. Oh, here's Scandinavia. Scandinavia, 16%. I was very surprised at that, seeing that, because my grandfather from St. Croix was a very black man, and we have pictures of his mom, a very African-looking woman, you know, very dark skin, natural African, very tight curly hair, you know, a classic West African woman of her day, okay? Southeastern Europe, 10%. Okay, I get that, I think, on my mom's side. Iberia, I was surprised at that, 14%. And my mother's is like 30-something%, but I have 14% there. And, okay, West and Central Europe, 0%. And then look here, Jewish diaspora, less than 2%. Okay? So that's the ethnic makeup. Let me cut that. And then let me show you this. They have a view of like the map. Okay, let me move that out the way. Okay, this is just a breakdown as we showed before. So this, let me just move that. Okay, so this is visually what it looks like. So with the original showing, it did not have here Finland. This was a trace remnant. And then Norway, which is part of Scandinavia also, that wasn't there before. And definitely this, UK, that wasn't there. Here, Spain and Portugal, that wasn't there. Oh, so look at here. See the part of Africa here? It's by Algeria, part of Morocco, and part of Tunisia. They consider this the Middle East. The Middle East is this here, Egypt and everything here, all this region here. But now they're including this part as the Middle East, and it's not the Middle East. It's North Africa, and more Northwest Africa, okay? Well, that's what, they're just changing one's identity by these labels. Okay, here, Poland, this part here, they consider Ashkenazi with the, let me click on this now. Okay, so you see how, let me just expand all. Okay, so with this, if you put your pointer on it and you click, see but this part here, Ashkenazi, that's the part that's highlighted. See that? I move it away and then boom, I put it back to this area. That's the part that they consider Ashkenazi. Okay? Same as Finland. That's highlighted now. Down there. Okay, you see that? With the trace area. Okay? Norway. Okay. Norway, this part is they call Scandinavia, of 16%, which was a surprise. But I think that it's actually supposed to be part of Denmark. But again, the Danes and the Norway, they're right next to each other. But I guess maybe the population might have migrated south then to Denmark, and then they came to the Caribbean, the island of St. Croix. But who knows? And then look here, the UK, Britain of 3%. So that's that. Okay, let me close that. Oh, this also is new. I didn't have this here before of the Mediterranean. Okay, none of that. The only thing that you saw in my old video that I'm going to show you was this central part here. It was in bright red here and had none of all this other color there. It's just one little spot in Central Europe and part of West Europe. And that was it. And all of Africa, let me show you Africa. Pull it up. This is the same, the color regions, pretty much the same. Oh, I see something here now. See this area right here? It looks like a reddish color with two lobes, a lobe there and a lobe there in a reddish color. That wasn't there. But what's in blue, the lobes there and the lobes here, is the same. And this area here in Africa, that was the same location. Okay, so it looks like they just have a more detail. They were, I guess, fine-tune it and to extract more information from the current DNA that they have. Okay, let me show you. Let me see what's on this tab here. Oh, okay, this was my original video. As you see here, the name of my original video is called Family Tree DNA Test Comparisons. Okay, and it was originally published on April 28th, 2015. And I show my DNA and my mom's DNA. And as you can see here, I have the breakdown for, let me just make the screen a little bigger. Okay, so for Africa, and I guess now they mean Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa. They have West Africa, 47%, that's the same. And East Central Africa, 6%. With these two numbers give you a total of 53%. So they took away 3% from here, East Central Africa. Okay, and it was reassigned. So part of it was reassigned to North Africa, okay, or what they call Middle East now. And now here for Europe, okay, Europe is total 46%, and the Middle East, I'm sorry, West Central Europe of 46%, Middle Eastern 2%, but now with the original, the 2% for Middle East of the area of Asia Minor, see here? So Middle Eastern here is referring to Asia Minor, which is 2%. But now, okay, let me just toggle back. But now, as I showed you here, break it down. Okay, let me see, navigate, I'm trying to pull up that break, okay. So I should see that it changed, okay. So let's see, the African was 53%, I mean, it's now 50, and then let me go back here. Let me do it this way. Okay, so Africa from the old is 53%. Go back to the original. Africa here, 50%. Okay, this is the new. Go back to the old. I'm going to do Europe. Europe is 46% total. And now the new one, Europe, is 43%. Now going back to the old. Middle East, 2% versus now Middle East, where is that? Did I have it here? Oh, North Africa, 2%. Okay, so that's that. Let me go on this one here. Okay, this is a visual of the original video that I posted on myself. And as you can see, yes, as you can see, what I was referring to, that this is a picture of the first test that I posted up, and as you see, it's in red in this part of Europe. And Africa, as you see here, okay, so it's basic. So this is what it looked like originally. And Turkey, as you see, there's slight. And Africa here, let me play a little bit of it. Okay, it's really hard to see because I kept moving. Hope it can show. Okay, so what you're looking at now is Africa. And then, let's see, and that thing in red, that portion there is part of Europe, West and Central Europe, which is also my other break. See, let me stop it for a second. As you see here, there's nothing in this part of Europe is called Iberia, and includes Portugal and Spain. And as you see in the old video, it's nothing there. And nothing with part of North Africa here, Algiers or Tunisia or Morocco. There's nothing there. There's nothing in this part of Mediterranean. Okay, nothing in that Poland or East Europe. Nothing in the British Isles. It's just that one little spot there, very concentrated. And in Africa, it looks the same. Okay. So that's me. Now I'm going to show my mom's. Okay. So, with my mother, she's 63% European, African 33%, Jewish diaspora 3%, and then trace results. Let me show the breakdown. Okay. So this was, let's see, I think this is about the same. This number could have changed also with my mom, the African of 33%. It could have been 36% before, now it's 33, but we're going to compare and see it. New World, as you see, no Native American, and I was told that my great-grandmother on my mother's side was Native American, a Carib Indian. And as you see, there is no, it does not reflect this. And I have a family member that did a extremely detailed family tree, and it's not substantiated. What happens in the Caribbean is that you did have a lot of mixing between white men and black / African women, and I guess the shame of that when you're navigating that world in those days, right after the end of slavery, people may have felt that it was safer for them to say that their brown skin and long straight hair is attributed to being indigenous rather than being African. It is what it is, okay? So as you see here, no Native American. But I also indicated in my old video that you could watch at your free time, that with Native American, that one of her ethnicities on her chart, it reflected, I think 27%, it was the Mediterranean area, but I had inherited 0% of that particular demographics. So let's say that 27% was Native American in my mom. Let's just pretend. In my generation with my DNA, it indicated 0. So people in one generation of a particular ethnicity could be removed. So who knows what let's say if my grandmother took the DNA test, what would it reveal on her? So with DNA, it's reshuffled and redistributed with each generation, and then the different percentages with that new person, So it's okay. DNA is not an exact science. You can only you don't pass on everything. You pass on what you pass on. So those people who are doing research on a DNA level, you may not be able to substantiate certain claims because you don't inherit all the ethnicities in one generation sometimes, as what was reflected in me. Okay, I just felt that it was important to say that. Okay, so let's see, Central and South Asia 0%, but as you see here, South Central Asia is less than 1%, and that was a surprise because in the old test that I posted earlier, it didn't indicate that. So that's a very big surprise for me, because pretty much on my mother's European side, they're all French speaking, all French people, and my particular relative who's living in France right now did a very extremely detailed DNA, and she didn't just do the direct lineages, but like people who married into our particular family, their backgrounds, and all of them have those real exotic French names. And so I don't know how this South Central Asia or this Middle East here got in the picture, but it is what it is. Okay, and then here Middle Eastern, okay, as I indicate here, -1%. Okay, and this here, Middle East less than 1%, and this South Central Asia, that could also be what they call statistical noise. It's a fragment that just, it's there, and it could be erroneous too, okay? But again, it could also be true too. Here, European, 63%. And that changed on my mom, okay? It used to be higher, but now went down because now with family tree DNA, they reshuffling, they're spreading out the DNA to put in a new category. Okay, that's what's happening here. Okay, now with the old, they don't have the breakdown like this. This is all new. So British Isles 9%, East Europe 0, Finland 0, Scandinavia 0. Okay, but as you saw in my DNA, that I had Finland and Scandinavia. So what that's telling me by deduction that I got that part, Finland and Scandinavia, on my father's side. And I find that really something, because if you knew what my father looked like and his father's mother looked like, they're very African looking people, okay? But they were born on the island of St. Croix, and I think I mentioned earlier in this video that St. Croix was a Danish possession, and Denmark is part of Scandinavia, and so that's where. So evidently, even though phenotypically they looked one way, genetically they was mixing there, okay? So I go on. Southeast Europe, 4%. Okay. Iberia, this was a surprise for me. Iberia, 31%. And that's because, again, on my mother's side, they're heavily French. Those who were European were French, and with the exception of the Russian, or the Russian-speaking great-grandfather of mine. Okay. West and Central Europe, 19%. Yeah, okay. So this is interesting for my mom because that on the original, a big portion of the map showed almost everything was mostly West and Central Europe, but now it's reshuffled and it decreased this number to a 90% and put in the new concentration in Iberia, which is really interesting, okay? And Jewish diaspora of 3%. Ashkenazi, that Ashkenazi means Eastern European Jewry, okay? Of 3%. And that's possibly so because, again, my mother's maiden name is an Ashkenazi last name, and the Russian or Eastern European most likely, could have been of Jewish ancestry, okay? Or whoever she got the Ashkenazi last name from, most likely of Jewish ancestry, okay? So that's that of my mom. Let me try this tab. Now this was the old video, and this one is, let's see, yeah, this one is my mother's, okay? And this is just to show the percentages. So I just wanted to show you that, okay, European 65%, and it's broken down by, I think that's 39 and 26%. African is 35% with a breakdown of 31% West Africa, and East Central Africa 4%. Okay. Let me see there. Let me go back to that. Let me just toggle, make sure I got that right. Yeah, so this is, yeah, okay. I'm not good with numbers. When I'm toggling numbers, I get confused myself. Okay, so let me see here. So 63% European for my moms. And let me just go that. Oops. Okay, so this is 65%. Okay, so from 65%, it went to 63%. And then for Africa, for the old Africa, 35% for my mom's, and now it's 33%. And then they reassigned Jewish diaspora as a new category. Okay, so you see that there's variations in it. And let me see this last. Okay, I almost did forget to include the new picture, the new map for the DNA distribution for my mom. Okay, as you see here in this screen, you have, let's start on top and work down. Now, with my mother's old map, the only region that showed was this central region right here. Okay, and then here, this region here, Poland, the UK, the Iberian Peninsula, and Portugal and Spain, you know, this region here wasn't there. Okay, and let's see. This region here. Oh, wait. Yes, it did. It did show part of here. All of this Mediterranean. Okay, so it's here, Poland, UK, and Iberian Peninsula that wasn't there before. Okay, and then here, Middle East. This section here, it was like 1%, or I should say less than 1% in that region there, and less than 1% here. As a reminder, let me just show you. Okay, expand all for the trace regions. See that? This wasn't there before. Middle East, less than 1%. South Central Asia, less than 1%. I thought that was interesting. And then here for Africa, the distribution looks the same. How the lobes are, the double lobe here and the double lobe there, and then the rest in a lighter shade of blue, and this lobe here looks the same. Okay, so that's my mom's. Also, I just noticed that my mom doesn't have, that's interesting, I don't see anything here for Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia. Okay, it's because I have that in my new one. So my mother doesn't have it here. So I guess that would mean that maybe I got that from my father. Interesting. Yeah, I just caught that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So my mother doesn't have this region here. So by deduction, I get that portion for what they call the Middle East here in this region, rather than here. I get it from my father's side. But as you see here, a remnant, I get that I don't have it, but my mother has it. And here, my mother has that, and I don't have it either. Okay, so Africa looks the same. The European distribution with my mother changed a little bit, and yeah, I would say that's about it. Okay, yeah, and this is a visual of my mother's. You know, for Africa, it looks the same. You know, see the coastline here. Okay. And then you have a light color there. And then on top there, let me see if I can find that. I'm going to play the video. This is the old one. Okay, I hope you can see that. Let's see. Okay. For Africa. Okay, we'll go back a little bit. Okay, it's nothing there. Let me move back a little bit. 6%. But I don't have that. Okay, and my mother also does not have Middle Eastern, what they in my part would be Asia Minor. See, this is Turkey here. Okay, it's nothing there. Okay, I'm trying to get, and then scroll for Africa. Okay, wait a minute. Okay.
Okay, they call that Southern Europe. That's 26%. Okay.
See that? I was just trying to get the position where they have for Europe. And as you see with the old, that we go a little bit forward. Okay. So that's basically, I was really trying to get the whole top and the bottom. But as you saw, the top part, it just had, it was very condensed, the area. And for Africa, it looks like the same. Okay? So again, I'm showing all this to document how things change, because if they show again in let's say 3 more months from now, even a year from now, and I want to recheck this family tree DNA, what new information, it could change again. So by you taking a picture of it or doing video of it, you keep it, you have backup. And if things are getting too, frazzled with these DNA tests, you can confront the company, say, hey, you keep changing the information, or you had this information, you pulled it, what's going on? So it's to empower yourself, okay? So that's all that I'm going to do, show with this video. I hope I was clear enough. I know I was toggling back and forth with the different tabs, and I'm still, I feel very new at doing this on the computer. But yes, so I hope you enjoyed it, and feel free to comment below if you have any questions or you want to share information. You could share this video with friends, family members. You can subscribe to Spirit Journey, and as always, please give me the thumbs up if you like the video. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day. See you guys. Bye-bye.